do you know how to correlate the Israel war against those terrorists with ESG impacts and responsibilities? If you don't know the relation, if you want to improve your correlation competence, watch this video to the end. Welcome to the channel. My name is Lena Sakai. I'm Green Business Post editor, and today I'm going to exercise with you our capacity of doing correlations between anything with ESG, and I'm starting with this very impactful happening war that's happening in the world, and I'm going to show you some very simple correlations that you can start to exercise, and then the third correlation, it's I would say it's more like more difficult to see, and some people may say that it's paranoid. So, but it's not. It's real danger. So let's see. Let's see if you know or not. And if you're looking for this kind of content, subscribe to the channel to receive all the more recommendations like this kind of video. So let's start. What do we do to start correlating things? So we're talking about Israel war against those terrorists that attack them, like Hamas attacked them. Then Hezbollah is Hamas partner, and they attacked other countries, but aiming people, innocent people that does not believe in their ideology, their radical ideology. And what does that has to do with our ESG management, ESG responsibilities for organizations and to our own families, and our workers' families? Everything to do, because to start with, you start looking at your own life, like your family, your friends. A war, it's dangerous. So the first thing you need to think is like the self-preservation, preserving your family. So what is a risk to you, to your family? If you're Jewish, the risk is obvious. If you have friends that are Jewish, so it's important to understand, talk to them, to see how they are, what's the impact, and understand the situation, because they're your friends, they are close to you, or your families. Then, what kind of places are risky to go when this kind of terrorism start spreading in the world? Like in Brazil, there was a terrorist attack. They was planning to do it, and they couldn't complete it because of the Israel intelligence together with Brazilian intelligence. They captured the terrorist in the airport. But it was going to happen if no one had done anything. So the governments, they are very aware, but they don't say it to the population because it may spread like fear. People might get afraid, scared. But they are talking about it in the security, especially security area, the intelligence area. But and you must do it with your family to start with. So the places you should avoid, and people did avoid in Brazil, are the places where Jewish gather, like those temples or their Jewish institutions. So people started getting afraid to go. I myself went to events that I usually did go in the past in non-profit in Jewish institute, institution, entity. I don't remember the kind of entity, but it's an entity. And we saw the number of participants dropping, and they put the metal detector in the entrance. So they had some precautions, and we saw that they were afraid. So naturally, people understand about the impacts in their lives. That's a very good way of starting correlating things. But you need to, as managers, as leaders, and ESG professionals, we need to go further. The next step, you need to start looking more to other stakeholders, like your workers, like employees, colleagues, your clients, your suppliers. So, and especially the suppliers, or first the employees. Like, do you have Lebanon employees, Jewish, working together? What do they think about all that's happening? It's important to know, to avoid any conflict. The human resources should take care of this and understand the the employees' way of seeing the world. And it's important for the organization to enforce their values and principles, so that we can manage the conflicts that may appear because of what's happening. Because when people start dying, being killed, it's very sensitive, and people get emotional. That's a very like a simple step. Another important step is to look at your suppliers. So if you have any suppliers that is in Lebanon, it's important to understand when there are radical groups. They're like mob. They don't work in the legal world. They try to wash the money. They steal from the population, just like the movie that's based in real facts of the Italian mob, that Godfather. His mob started because he was against another mob that was exploiting commerce of the people, their stores. They ask for money in exchange of protection. It's always like that, but it's protection against who? Against themselves, the mob, and they threaten people and to have their money. So this kind of practice is happens until today, and it's their way of earning money. And many times they steal the company of people. They get inside of companies to or create their own companies to wash their money and buy their guns, their firearms. So if you have a relationship with companies in Lebanon, for example, do you know if they are related to these mobs? Do you know if like Hezbollah like they leave the company, or if they help these terrorist groups? It's important to know, investigate that, because if one day they find out and your company is related to this mob company, your company's name is going together, because when you're working with the mob, mob company, you're like helping terrorism, you're financing terrorism. So it's very impactful, and the responsibility is all yours. Like, it's going to be in the news, and even if you didn't know, and now that's it got in the news, it's a war. You need to be precautious about it, uh, to go after information and get to know better about these terrorist groups. And if you don't know how to do that, hire people, specialists. There are many specialists in the market that does that in the security area. So start talking with other companies, your colleagues companies, to see how they do it, and do it together, because you don't want your name together with terrorism. So you can see that the correlation is very important. It impacts a lot if things go wrong to your company. And now the third, before going to the third, what do you think about these correlations? Were they relevant to you? Leave your comment and tell us if you knew about this or you haven't thought about it. And now we're going to the third correlation, that it's people think it's paranoid, but it's not, and you see why. The An unprecedented that happened, Israel did in this war. They hacked the Hezbollah pages and exploded the Hezbollah pages. So it was like approximately 4,000 pages. So 4,000 terrorists kind of exploded with the pagers. Um, so it's something new, like it's something unprecedented that I can remember. And what does it has to do with ESG? When they attacked Hezbollah communication, it's a strategic way of attacking in a war. If your opponent can't communicate between themselves, they cannot organize, and then it's easier to dominate them, to arrest them. So after when the world knew about it, the first things that we can think is like, who else can do the same with something that we already have, that has this lithium battery? So we have lithium battery in our cell phones. Everybody carries a cell phone nowadays. So can this kind of explosive be inserted to our smartphones? Yes, Israel has proved that, and they put in Hezbollah. That's organized crime, and they're not like you and me that we go to the market and we buy the cell phone, and that's it. No, they they need to understand who is going to supply them with pages that are safe for them, that works, that no one is spying on them. So they have this kind of security protocols, and even though Israel could be able to hack and explode their pagers and explode their radios. Yes, after they saw the pagers were useless, they went to the radio to communicate with radios, and Israel exploded the radios too. So Israel was very strategically organized, very well orchestrated, a very well orchestrated attack. Um, so we need to think, if this can happen to us, used against us as population, as nations, because we know that there are other nations that are not peaceful, just like Russia that attacked Ukraine, um, because they think they want to take Ukraine for them and steal it. So there are other governments that are already threatens and already killed millions of people to show their power, to grow their power, like China. They threaten Taiwan, they threaten Japan, the Philippines, many countries. And this Israel attack can inspire those governments to use this kind of attack way of doing, creating a threat to blackmail other communities, other countries. So, for example, if China wants to dominate your country, it can hack the cell phones that or the cars that electric cars that you buy. Somehow it can be their own electric cars, Chinese, or it can be in the delivering process of other companies. So it can be in different ways, and I think the easiest way is with their own cars. So what we can think as leaders, managers, ESG professionals, what kind of risks can we take? Can we think of preventing these kind of risks for our employees, our families, our companies, our stakeholders? Are we going to buy Chinese electric cars? Are they trustworthy? The government respects uh, human rights? They're not trustworthy? So is it good to buy? I don't think so, in my opinion. But it's something you need to think, because it has already happened. The pagers exploded. Smartphones can explode. Radios has exploded. So this electronic with lithium battery can be exploded. It can have an C4 inside of them. Small ones can be put inside of the batteries. And when you're going to check, you can't see because it's inside of the battery. Are you going to cut all batteries to see? In many cases, like electric car, that's difficult. There are thousands of batteries to see. So how are you going to know? So these are questions we need to ask, and as responsible professionals, we need to raise in our companies as leaders. So, what did you think about this third paranoid issue? It's a serious one. I got this theme especially because of this very risky and important concern that we need to have, and most people doesn't have. They didn't even imagine. They could not even imagine. But it's a real risk, as we saw Israel did, and unfortunately, it will inspire people with bad intentions. So how do we protect ourselves from that? That's the kind of correlation you need to exercise in your daily work, daily thoughts when you're reading the news. So what did you think about this kind of correlation we did today? Have you thought about it before? Or it's the first time you're hearing about this kind of way of thinking? Yes, this kind of exercise is, for me, it's essential for ESG professionals, because we need to correlate so that we can understand the impacts of our activities, right? So comment here, leave your comment. What did you think? Themes that you're interested to hear more about. You can support our channel for free by liking or sharing the content with people you think might benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter, because the social media not always deliver the notification, and by email we can deliver most certainly. This was the episode of today, Green Business Post: Responsible Impacts for Sustainable Communities.